Oh,
Babe, grab your iced coffee and settle in, because the latest drama coming out of Stephanie Jenkins' corner is messy, calculated, and filled with more twists than a daytime soap. One minute she's swearing she's done talking about Desiraye, and the next? She's low-key lighting her up like a birthday cake. Let's unpack this chaos, because you're not gonna believe how deep this goes. So, Stephanie, yes, the same Stephanie currently holed up in a shelter with her kids while her grown man is glued to a PS5, took to Facebook and posted one of the shadiest "I'm not saying anything" posts we've seen yet. She wrote, and we quote, "I'm not going to speak on Deshawn's bio mom anymore," and then, in the same breath, turned around and accused Desiraye of faking her intentions, being performative, and showing up only when it looked good online. What? That's not silence, babe. That's strategy. That's Stephanie pretending to take the high road while planting little landmines all along Desiraye's reputation. And the way she worded it? So careful, so calculated. It wasn't just a side-eye, it was a full character takedown disguised as maturity. But here's where it gets even shadier. Stephanie actually tries to frame herself as the real parent just because she's been posting Deshawn and her other kids on social media. Like parenting is measured in TikTok views now? She literally implied that because she's been inconsistent online, that somehow proves she's always been there, and that Desiraye only swooped in once the internet started paying attention. Except spoiler alert, that's a lie. What Stephanie conveniently leaves out is that Desiraye has been fighting, quietly and without cameras, for years. Back in 2022, she filed not one but 2 emergency custody cases. She visited. She knocked. She called. She begged. And every single time, she was met with a locked door, silence, and resistance. At one point, she was even told Deshawn had a black eye. Can you imagine the panic? The fear? And yet, instead of answers, she got shut out. No one opened the door. Not even when the police were called. But here's the twist, Desiraye didn't give up. The only thing she didn't have was money. No lawyer. No resources. That's why the cases didn't stick. Not because she wasn't trying, but because she was drowning on her own while Stephanie sat on social media filming sing-alongs and calling herself the real one. And now that Desiraye's voice is finally getting heard, Stephanie's scrambling. The attention's shifting. People are starting to question the story she's been feeding them, and she doesn't like that. So what does she do? Cue the guilt trip performances with the kids. Yes, those viral clips where Stephanie's kids are crying on camera, saying things like, "We won't let anyone take our mom away." Sound like random child talk? Not even close. That's coached. That's a narrative being fed in real time, and it's all being played out for likes and sympathy. And let's talk about the creepiest moment of all. Stephanie, in her own words, admitted she sat Deshawn down and asked him to choose between her and his biological mother. Babe. That's not co-parenting. That's not love. That's emotional warfare. What child should ever be asked to make that choice, especially while being bombarded with loyalty speeches and online drama? It's giving manipulation. It's giving damage control. It's giving, "I'm losing grip, so let me flip the script." And what makes it even worse? She tries to wrap all of this in, "I don't talk bad about anyone" energy, while literally talking bad about Desiraye in real time. You can't play peacekeeper and instigator at the same time, girl. Pick a lane. Stephanie had the audacity to sit Deshawn down and tell him he had to choose between her and his real mom, Desiraye. Let that sink in. A child being told to pick between the 2 people he loves most. That's not parenting. That's psychological chess, babe. It's not about love, it's about control, wrapped in soft words and TikTok filters. Kids aren't supposed to mediate trauma. They're not supposed to carry guilt over who they love or who they don't choose. But Stephanie made Deshawn feel like picking his real mother would be a betrayal. That's not a choice, that's a trap, and the prize is trauma. And while Stephanie parades around online like some kind of savior, the truth behind the curtain is way darker. She keeps chanting, "I've been there for him," like she deserves a medal. But plot twist, the only reason she was there in the first place is because she made sure Desiraye wasn't. Let's not sugarcoat it, Desiraye didn't vanish. She didn't run, she was shut out. Every time she tried to call, visit, or fight through the courts, she was met with locked doors, cold shoulders, or police interference. That wasn't coincidence. That was strategy. Stephanie and Drew built a fortress around Deshawn, and told the world they were the only ones who ever cared. Then they used that same narrative as proof of their sacrifice. Manipulation, wrapped in motherhood, but babe, it gets messy, eh? Stephanie's viral moments? The ones that got her all that sympathy and internet fame? They weren't from showing a loving, stable home. They were heartbreaking glimpses of her kids sleeping on hard floors, sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes in random corners with no beds, no blankets, no stability. It was survival mode on full display. And instead of turning the camera off and fixing it, she leaned in, she kept filming. Kept sharing. Because the mess brought in views. That's not inspiration. That's exploitation. She built her following off of pain, her children's pain. Not to bring in real help, not to get them out of the shelter system, but to boost her platform. To become a brand.
I just like to say Stephanie is weird. Stephanie's supporters is weird. This whole shebang is weird because at the end of the day, when it boils down to it, Stephanie is mad that Desiraye is getting attention. Stephanie is mad that Desiraye is getting money. Stephanie is mad that Desiraye potentially is going to take away the biggest thing that supposedly makes her the best mother in the world, taking care of Andrew's son. Me personally, I'm sick of it, and it's funny to watch this in real time and then still watch people be absolutely just as delusional as she is, because at the end of the day, she don't care about that child. She don't care about her own children. Expect to be disappointed? Like, that's not something you say to a child. And I'm confused with the donut situation, because was she not sitting in a car? You were sitting in a car and you couldn't start it up, put the kids in there, drive to the store and get donuts. Maybe I'm slow. Maybe I'm the slow one here, because at first I'm thinking they're slow. No, they are slow. And I really don't. Some of y'all are really falling for this in real time, and I'm just like, it's blatantly obvious this is bullshit, and you're still sitting here buying the bullshit. Like, and Stephanie is also even more weird with the thing where her mom tries to allude that her mom S8 her or something is just the most disgusting thing ever. Like, you can say all the things that you want to, but like, when you taking it that far, no, especially when there is no validity to whatever you just said. Also, where is this sister that you claim is in a worse situation than you? Because I didn't think it'd get no worse than staying in a hotel shelter with 7 people. Or maybe I'm confused. Maybe your definition of doing bad is different from my doing bad, because that's doing bad. You're also in a relationship with a man child that is also doing bad. You are drying your wet clothes on beds that your kids sleep on. That's doing bad. You're cooking in the kitchen, front room, first, second, third bedroom, and bathroom, and waiting area, and living room, and TV room, and game room. So you're telling me that your sister is doing worse than you? Why are you up here just like trying to make your family seem like they're in like terrible situations, or they're just such terrible people, when in truth we don't? Your mom just now is talking up saying something in defense. Desiraye is just now talking up saying stuff in her defense. Your sister probably doesn't even know that you said that on the internet. So you got a whole lot of, you gonna tell the side of the story for everybody else and then get mad when someone comes and says something about that. I'm gonna need you to get a grip, bitch, because the issue is you. And at the end of the day, Desiraye is gonna get her son back. Thank God. And I really wish somebody would take the 4 kids that Stephanie has in her care away from her too. She'd be really just better off in that motel shelter with just her and Drew and his PlayStation. And yeah. She's not a committed mother. She doesn't really want to be a mother. Nobody is sitting there. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not. She's just one of those, look at me, I'm doing this, I'm doing that type of a person. Give me praise, give me this, give me that, because I'm doing this out of the kind of my hard ass person. And it's just like, you are a demon. A demon. No, seriously, she's just a terrible person. And whoever sits here and believes her is also a terrible person that I wouldn't trust around children or animals.
Meanwhile, Desiraye was out here fighting in silence, scraping together court filings and clinging to hope, because her focus was never on going viral. It was always Deshawn. And now Stephanie has the nerve to question Desiraye's intentions? Babe, let's flip the camera for a second. Why did Stephanie really take Deshawn in? Was it out of pure love, or was it about proving something? To Drew? To herself? To her followers? Because everything about her screams, "Look at me. I'm raising someone else's kid." It's not about the child. It's about the credit. The saddest twist of all? Stephanie once admitted that she's scared Deshaun receiving love from his real mother might make her own daughters jealous, because they don't get that kind of support from their father. And instead of fixing that, instead of demanding Drew show up as a father, she weaponized Deshaun's bond with Desiraye. She'd rather limit his healing than confront Drew's failures. She's protecting an image, not the kids, because if Deshaun gets what he needs from his real mom, Stephanie's whole heroic sacrifice storyline falls apart. This isn't co-parenting. It's a power trip. A competition in disguise. And behind all the TikToks, Facebook posts, and loyalty songs is a woman more obsessed with being the center of the narrative than doing what's truly best for the child. And speaking of Drew, the so-called King Daniel? The man Stephanie praises with inspirational dad quotes like, "Kids need more than a title, they need a man who shows up."
Yeah.
Him? He's barely a background character in all this. While Stephanie's raising his kids in shelters and filming it for views, he's posting memes and hiding behind her drama. This isn't a family trying to heal. It's a woman curating a crisis for content, with a man who won't lift a finger unless it's to scroll. Drew, aka King of the PS5, has basically turned gaming into a full-time career, minus the paycheck. While kids are running wild in a room that doubles as a kitchen, bedroom, and fire hazard, he's locked into that console like he's competing in an esports tournament. Meanwhile, Stephanie's left doing everything. Cooking, cleaning, parenting, filming, posting, all of it. And the kicker? She admits he refuses to get a job because he doesn't like being told what to do. Excuse me? That's not quirky. That's willful neglect. That's a man-child prioritizing comfort over contribution while babies sleep on blankets beside deep fryers. And now here comes the twist that really stings. Stephanie, on camera, no less, explains to her daughter why she can't rely on Drew for anything. Not even for something as simple and sweet as grabbing donuts together. A moment that could have been bonding turned into a teachable lesson in lowering expectations. She didn't just dodge a donut run, she planted a seed of disappointment in her child. Let that sink in. A mom teaching her daughter to expect nothing from the man she calls dad, and it begs the question, why even let him keep the title? Why let him be dad if he's not showing up emotionally, physically, or financially? Sitting in the same room as your child isn't the same as being present in their life. And no matter how many cute Instagram quotes Stephanie reposts about fatherhood and responsibility, Drew's actions are the loudest part of the story. But babe, the chaos doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the living conditions. Because this isn't some temporary rough patch or humble beginning. This is an ongoing crisis, hidden in plain.
Jenkins are notorious for lying. So let me just put some truth out there for y'all, because I think a lot of people that are following them and that are new and have no idea what's going on don't know this. Stephanie and Drew are not married to each other. Stephanie is very married still to her very first husband, and he is in jail for essaying women, old ladies, his own mother, and children, very young girls. Now, it has been said that Stephanie was part of the things that he was doing in helping him get these girls and these women, and that's why she is still married to him. Let's also acknowledge that you cannot testify against your own husband in court. So the question still stands, Stephanie, why are you married to your husband still? Let's clock it. And yes, I'm on my backup account because I'm trying to build my backup account. I will be posting from my main.
They're packed into a single room that tries to do everything: kitchen, bedroom, laundry, daycare, and living room, all smashed into one claustrophobic, unventilated, fire hazard of a space. Blankets on the floor are used as makeshift beds. Fryers sizzle inches from where children nap. Extension cords snake across the room like booby traps. Water splashes near live wires. Dishes pile up, laundry drips from doorknobs, and the smell? You can almost feel it through the screen: grease, sweat, wet clothes, and survival. This isn't a temporary setup. This is the lifestyle Stephanie has chosen to keep. Even after hinting she'd leave Drew. Even after posting about choosing peace for her kids. For a second, people had hope. But just like that, she backtracked, louder, more defensive, and doubling down in the very same unsafe space. And babe, if you're wondering where the effort's been going, it's not into making things better for the kids. It's been going into content. Because let's be honest, Stephanie didn't go viral for showing a stable, thriving household. She went viral for the exact opposite. For filming her kids sleeping on kitchen floors. For capturing them in survival mode. For turning their hardship into aesthetic struggle content. That's not parenting. That's performance. She built an entire brand off of those conditions, not to fix them, but to monetize them. Not for help, but for clout. Meanwhile, Desiraye, the real mom, was being kept on the sidelines, locked out, dismissed, while Stephanie profited off the narrative she carefully controlled. So when she says she has stepped up before Deshaun, don't be fooled. She didn't fill a void, she created one. She didn't become a mother figure by default, she became one by blocking the actual mother out. And now she wants to wear that as a badge of honor? Please. And as for Drew? He's not a father figure. He's barely a fixture. He's a ghost with a controller. A man who lets his partner burn out while kids breathe in grease fumes and sleep in chaos. Stephanie openly admitted that her legal name is still Thompson. And while that might sound like just a last name, here's what it really means: it ties her directly to Jeremiah Thompson. Her legal husband. A man who is currently behind bars for one of the most horrifying crimes imaginable, sexually abusing minors, including children in his own family. And yet, despite all that, Stephanie has never filed for divorce. Not only has she not severed ties legally, she's still married to this man. Which legally makes Jeremiah the father on paper of her two youngest children, even though Drew is their biological dad. Let that sink in. A man convicted of harming children has a legal claim, right now, to two kids who don't even belong to him, all because Stephanie refuses to sign one set of divorce papers. If Stephanie really wanted to protect her kids, if she was serious about cutting all ties to a man convicted of such unspeakable crimes, she could have. But she didn't. And her silence, her inaction? It speaks volumes. Because no caption, no quote, no Facebook monologue can cover up the fact that she's still tethered to the man she says she wants nothing to do with. Meanwhile, Desiraye, Deshaun's biological mom, is finally breaking through the storm. With court support, community backing, and a voice that's finally being heard, Desiraye is getting closer to reclaiming her son. But while Deshaun might be on the verge of stability, what about the others? Let's talk about Stephanie's little girl. The one who, at just 10 years old, has become the second mother of the household. Changing diapers. Holding babies. Playing peacekeeper. While Drew is in the background glued to a PS5 like it's his 9 to 5. Babe, that's not childhood. That's forced parenting. These kids aren't being nurtured. They're being trained to survive. They're learning that a dad is just a man who shares your space, not your effort, not your heart. They're learning to sing songs on TikTok to gain sympathy, to smile through pain, to say what will get the likes, even when their real emotions are screaming for help. And the house. Still the same chaotic one-room setup we've all seen too many times, food being fried just feet from where kids sleep, wires dangling near sinks, clothes drying in doorways, mess stacked on mess. Not a home. A hazard. Stephanie wants applause for making it through. But when the chaos is self-inflicted, when the danger is avoidable but allowed, it's not resilience. It's recklessness. Her social media might sell it as strength, but the kids are still suffering. And it's not just about poverty, it's about priorities. She says she wants what's best for them, but babe, where's the proof? Because instead of filing that divorce, instead of getting out of the shelter, instead of letting the actual people who care step in, she's doubling down. She's filming. She's posting. She's quoting motivational lines while her babies sleep beside fryers and chaos. And here's the harsh truth: if child advocates or CPS don't intervene soon, the window is going to slam shut. Deshaun might get saved, but what about his siblings? The one still stuck playing roles in Stephanie's online drama, still being used as content instead of children. Stephanie praises herself for being present. But presence without protection isn't love, it's image management. She says she's sacrificing, but really, she's silencing. Silencing their needs. Silencing outside help. Silencing the possibility of a better future. So now the real question is, shouldn't all the kids get a chance at something better? Not just Deshawn? Because babe, it's clear, this isn't just dysfunction, it's a disaster hiding behind a filter. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because with this story, the danger is real, the clock is ticking, and the tea is boiling.